After the age of 50, many of us begin to experience life differently. The pace slows, the noise dims, and what once held great importance begins to fade into the background. In this quieting of life's external chaos, a new kind of wisdom begins to arise, a whisper from within, inviting us to turn inward, to nourish the parts of ourselves that have long been overlooked. This is where true self-care begins, not as indulgence, but as a sacred path of spiritual awakening. The Buddha once said, "You yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection." In the latter chapters of our lives, this teaching resonates more deeply than ever before. Self-care, when rooted in mindfulness, non-attachment, and compassion, becomes more than a routine, it becomes a spiritual practice. A quiet rebellion against the notion that aging means decline. It's a daily devotion to healing, to clarity, and to the kind of peace that can't be shaken by external circumstances. In this video, I will walk with you through 7 self-care rituals that, through the lens of Buddhist wisdom, became the pillars of my emotional clarity and spiritual growth after turning 50. We will explore the sacredness of tending to our bodies with tenderness, releasing emotional wounds without regret, finding strength in solitude, and creating spaces that reflect who we are becoming, not who we used to be. This journey is not about fixing yourself, it's about befriending yourself. As the Buddha taught, true liberation comes not through resistance, but through understanding. Let us begin with the first sacred truth on this path: why self-care is sacred, especially in older age. To understand its essence, let me share a quiet Zen story that still echoes through the halls of old temples. In a serene monastery nestled deep in the misty mountains of Kyoto, there lived an elderly monk named Rashi Tenjo. He was well into his 70s, yet every dawn he would rise before the first bird sang. With deliberate calm, he would light a single stick of incense, bow gently toward the old Bodhi tree in the courtyard, and begin sweeping the temple garden. His movements were slow, measured, almost poetic. He swept not just fallen leaves, but something unseen. One crisp autumn morning, a young novice, puzzled by the Rashi's devotion to such a humble task, asked, "Master, why do you sweep each day, even though the wind scatters more leaves the moment you stop?" Rashi Tenjo smiled, his eyes soft with wisdom, and replied, "I do not sweep the leaves. I sweep my heart." In those simple words lies the heart of sacred self-care. It is not about fixing the world outside, but tending gently to the temple within. Aging is not a burden, it is an unfolding. Yet in our modern world, we are taught to fear it. To see every wrinkle and gray strand as a mark of decline, as though worth could be measured by youth alone. But through the lens of Buddhist wisdom, the process of aging is a teacher, not a thief. The Buddha himself aged with grace, embracing the truth of impermanence not with despair, but with reverence. He used the body's inevitable changes as a daily reminder to live with mindfulness, compassion, and clarity. This is why self-care becomes sacred in older age. It is not resistance to time, it is honoring time. When we nourish our bodies gently, without judgment, we say, "This body has walked through fire and joy, loss and love, it deserves tenderness, not frustration." The Buddha said, "Just as a candle cannot burn without fire, men cannot live without a spiritual life." At this stage of life, self-care becomes that spiritual life. It's not about beauty routines or achieving goals, it's about reverence. To rest deeply, to eat nourishing food, to breathe slowly, to walk mindfully, these are not idle acts. They are ways of remembering the sacred within the ordinary. In doing so, we return home to ourselves. With each sip of warm tea, each breath taken in silence, each moment of gentle stillness, we acknowledge our intrinsic worth, not for what we produce, but for who we are. In Buddhist teaching, the body is not to be clung to nor rejected, but witnessed with equanimity. We care for it with mindful awareness, knowing that it is a temporary yet precious vehicle for awakening. We do not stretch to become youthful, we stretch to thank these limbs for carrying us. We do not wash our faces to chase beauty, we do it to awaken presence. This is sacred self-care, a ritual of loving kindness rather than a task to complete. And so, in the quiet rituals of daily life, lighting a candle, folding a blanket, listening to the wind, we step once again into the temple of our being. Self-care, especially in older age, is not indulgence. It is remembrance. It is a bow to the life we've lived, and a promise to the self that still blooms within. We are not fading. We are blooming inwardly, with grace, awareness, and peace of mind. Now that we have gently explored why self-care is sacred, especially in older age, let us move into the second essential truth on this mindful path: how to reconnect with your body with tenderness, not frustration. In a world that often values speed, appearance, and productivity, many of us grow distant from our bodies, treating them more like machines to manage than sacred vessels to honor. As we age, this disconnect can deepen, especially when the body aches, slows down, or changes in unexpected ways. Yet Buddhist wisdom invites us to look at the body not with judgment, but with loving awareness. The Buddha taught that mindfulness of the body is the first foundation of awakening. This means being present with our body not as an object, but as a living field of experience, sensing, breathing, aching, healing, and ultimately, teaching. To reconnect with the body, we must first stop fighting it. We must shift from frustration to friendship, from resistance to reverence. Instead of asking, "Why is my body failing me?" we ask, "How can I meet my body with kindness today?" This question changes everything. When we stretch, we do not aim to fix, we aim to feel. When we walk, we do not rush, we return. When we eat, we do not distract, we savor. These are not small gestures. They are spiritual acts of returning home. Non-attachment, one of the cornerstones of Buddhist teaching, does not mean we ignore the body. It means we stop grasping at how we think it should be and start embracing it as it is. In this gentle acceptance, true healing begins. We soften around our limitations and open to what is still possible: a breath taken with awareness, a movement filled with grace, a pause that honors fatigue instead of denying it. These moments, though simple, become profound. They restore peace of mind, build mindfulness, and deepen our spiritual growth. The practice of mindfulness teaches us to observe the body without clinging or aversion. Just as it is, here and now. The Buddha once said, "This body is not mine, nor am I this body." This is not a dismissal of the body, it is a call to relate to it with freedom, with spaciousness, with gentle care, not grasping. It is only through such tenderness that the body becomes not a burden, but a beloved companion on the journey toward inner peace. And to illuminate this truth more deeply, allow me to share a quiet Zen story from ancient China. In a remote village nestled among bamboo groves, there lived a simple laywoman named Mei Lin. Though she was not a nun, her devotion to Buddhist practice was pure and unwavering. As she aged, her joints stiffened, her steps slowed, and she could no longer sit in meditation for long hours as she once had. One day, a wandering monk passed through her village and asked why she no longer joined the seated meditations at dawn. Mei Lin smiled and said, "Each morning, I wash my face with warm water, bow to the rising sun, and walk slowly through the dew-covered grass. My knees creak, but my heart sings. My meditation now begins with each footfall." The monk was silent, then bowed low. Mei Lin had not abandoned her practice, she had deepened it. In learning to move with her aging body instead of against it, she had discovered a deeper truth: compassion begins at home, within one's own skin. And so, like Mei Lin, we too can learn to walk this path with tenderness. The body is not a failed version of youth, it is a living testament to the life we've lived. By reconnecting with it gently, without frustration, we rediscover a wellspring of mindfulness, peace of mind, and spiritual grace that no wrinkle or ache can ever erase. Having explored why self-care is sacred, especially in older age, and how to reconnect with the body with tenderness rather than frustration, we now arrive at another tender and often hidden part of the spiritual journey: the emotional wounds we carry and how to release them without regret. As we grow older, it is not only the body that bears the marks of time, but also the heart. In the quiet spaces of our days, memories return, some sweet, but others sharp with sorrow, betrayal, or missed chances. Many of us carry these emotional wounds silently, believing it is too late to heal or too complicated to resolve. Yet Buddhist wisdom reminds us that the present moment holds the key to liberation, not the past. The Buddha taught, holding on to anger is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You are the one who gets burned. In the same way, clinging to guilt, resentment, or regret only deepens our suffering. Emotional wounds are real, but they are not eternal. Through mindfulness, we can bring light into these inner shadows, observing our pain without judgment, without narrative, without attachment. We do not erase the past, we stop letting it govern our peace. To release these wounds without regret, we must offer ourselves the same compassion we would give a dear friend. We begin by acknowledging what hurt us, not to reopen the wound, but to clean it with truth. Then, slowly, we begin the quiet work of letting go, not forgetting, but forgiving. Forgiveness is not approval, it is release. It says, I will not carry this weight any longer. When we soften toward our past, we create space for peace of mind to enter. We create the conditions for spiritual growth. The more we meditate on impermanence, the more we understand that emotions, like all things, rise and fall. They are not who we are, they are what we experience. This understanding helps us unchain ourselves from stories that no longer serve our inner peace. We begin to realize, even the deepest wound can become a doorway to awakening if we tend to it with wisdom and compassion. Let me share with you a real-life story that beautifully illustrates this truth. A woman named Hannah, now in her late 60s, once told me how she spent decades estranged from her only sister. Their falling out had been bitter, centered around the division of their parents' small inheritance. For years, Hannah carried the pain of betrayal, layered with her own guilt for not reaching out. As the years passed, the silence grew heavier, and she often found herself waking at night, restless with thoughts of what could have been. One afternoon, while listening to a recording of a Buddhist teaching on forgiveness, something shifted. The teacher's words were simple: when the heart is ready, release will come. Hannah began writing letters, not to send, but to release. She poured her grief, her anger, her longing, onto the page. Each word became a letting go. Eventually, she wrote a letter she did send. It was brief and soft: I miss you. If your heart is open, I'd like to reconnect. A reply came 2 weeks later. Her sister wrote, I've waited years for this letter. They met a month later under a quiet oak tree in the park they used to visit as children. They cried, they talked, they walked. Not everything was fixed, but something was freed. Hannah told me, in that moment, I didn't get my sister back, I got myself back. The self that had been buried beneath all the pain. This is the power of releasing emotional wounds, not to change the past, but to reclaim your peace in the present. In this way, we care for the soul just as we care for the body, with presence, with patience, and with the deep, abiding wisdom that we are always capable of healing. Continuing on this path of mindful living and inner healing, we now gently enter the fourth reflection in this journey: how solitude can become a source of strength, not suffering. In a world that often equates togetherness with happiness, solitude is easily misunderstood. Many people fear being alone, especially as they grow older, because silence can sometimes echo with old griefs, unspoken regrets, or the feeling of being forgotten. But from the perspective of Buddhist wisdom, solitude is not a punishment, it is a profound opportunity. It is in solitude that the heart returns to its natural rhythm. It is in solitude that we meet ourselves honestly, without the distractions or expectations of others. The Buddha himself chose solitude again and again, not as an escape from life, but as a path to deeper insight and liberation. He taught that the one who delights in solitude is a noble being, for they have discovered the richness of the inner world. When we turn inward with mindfulness, we find that solitude is not empty, it is spacious. It is a sacred field where spiritual growth blooms, where our peace of mind deepens, and where non-attachment naturally arises. Without the noise of the world, we can observe our thoughts with gentleness, witness the arising and passing of emotions, and cultivate a quiet joy that is not dependent on external conditions. This is not loneliness. Loneliness is the suffering that comes from craving company. Solitude is the freedom that arises when we are content with our own presence. In this quiet space, we learn to be our own refuge. We no longer wait for others to make us feel complete or seen. We sit with our breath, feel the ground beneath us, and realize that we are already whole. This kind of solitude empowers us. It strengthens our mind with clarity, our heart with compassion, and our spirit with wisdom. It helps us age with grace because it replaces fear with acceptance, noise with stillness, and restlessness with calm. Solitude is not a withdrawal from life, it is a deep engagement with life as it truly is, moment by moment. In this silence, we begin to see clearly what truly matters, what can be let go, and what brings lasting peace. We start to recognize the impermanent nature of all things and slowly loosen our grip on the stories that once caused us suffering. The mind becomes like a still pond, reflecting everything clearly without distortion. And in that clarity, we find a strength that is not loud or forceful, but steady, grounded, and enduring. It is the strength of a heart that no longer runs away from silence but walks peacefully within it. In this way, solitude is not a space of lack, it is a space of presence. It is where we become intimate with life in its raw, beautiful simplicity. And through this, we come to understand that solitude, lovingly embraced, is one of the greatest self-care rituals we can ever offer ourselves on the path to spiritual freedom. Following the quiet strength we discover in solitude, we now gently move into the fifth reflection, daily rituals that nourish your spirit and restore your sense of peace. In Buddhist wisdom, it is not the grand gestures that transform us, but the simple, consistent acts of mindfulness we carry into each day. These daily rituals are not chores, they are sacred pauses, threads of intention that weave stillness and meaning into the fabric of our ordinary lives. When practiced with awareness, they become like gentle ripples that calm the restless mind and reconnect us with our inner sanctuary. Begin your morning not by rushing into the noise of the world, but with a few moments of silence, perhaps lighting a candle or incense, offering a small bow of gratitude, or simply sitting with your breath as the sun rises. This act alone plants a seed of calmness that influences the entire day. Mindful tea drinking can also become a deeply nourishing ritual, holding the warm cup in your hands, breathing in the aroma, and savoring each sip without distraction. These moments bring you back to the present, reminding you that peace is always one breath away. Walking slowly, either inside your home or outdoors, can become a meditation in motion. With each step, say silently, "I have arrived. I am home." Feel your feet meet the earth and allow yourself to be grounded in the now. This is not just exercise, it is a return to yourself. Setting a quiet space in your home for reflection, a small altar, a corner with a cushion, or even a peaceful chair by the window, gives your spirit a place to rest and be nourished. Chanting a simple verse from the Buddha's teachings or reading a short sutta daily can keep your heart aligned with timeless wisdom. Mindful eating, too, is a form of care, chewing slowly, giving thanks for the nourishment, and honoring your body as a temple. In the evening, you may create a ritual of gentle stretching or offering metta, loving kindness, to yourself and others before sleep. Even the act of washing your face or hands with mindful attention becomes an offering, a cleansing of not just the body, but of the residue of the day. These rituals, repeated daily, act as sacred anchors in a world that is always changing. They are not meant to add pressure, but to provide comfort and rhythm. When infused with awareness, these actions become more than routine. They become expressions of self-respect, spiritual care, and non-attachment. They remind us to slow down, to listen within, and to live with intention. The Buddha taught that the path to liberation lies not in faraway places, but in the here and now, in how we sit, breathe, eat, and relate to the present moment. In cultivating these rituals, we begin to embody that truth. We restore our sense of peace not by avoiding life, but by engaging with it gently, lovingly, and mindfully, one ritual, one breath, one sacred moment at a time. Let us now gently enter the sixth reflection in our journey of mindful aging, creating sacred spaces in your home that reflect who you've become. This is not about interior design or home improvement, it is about soul alignment. As we grow older, the outer world may become quieter, but our inner world deepens, becoming richer with meaning, memories, and spiritual longing. In this phase of life, our home is no longer just a structure, it becomes a sanctuary for peace, self-care, and spiritual presence. Creating a sacred space is a sacred act in itself, a way to reclaim your inner calm and reconnect with the essence of who you are becoming. Ask yourself, where in my home do I feel most safe, most still? It could be a small corner of your bedroom, a spot near the window where sunlight gently falls, or a quiet nook in the living room. Begin there. Clear the space, not just of physical clutter, but of mental distraction. Let this be a place of simplicity. Then, with tender intention, add elements that speak softly to your spirit. A small Buddha statue, a flower in a simple vase, a candle to remind you of the light within, a framed quote from the Dhammapada, a hand-collected stone from a favorite walk. These items need not be expensive, only meaningful. Choose earthy, calming colors, creams, warm browns, soft greens, and natural textures that invite softness and stillness. Place objects with care, as if bowing to each one, acknowledging that it holds space for your healing and reflection. Add a soft mat or cushion for sitting, or a chair where your body can rest in peace. Light plays an important role in sacred spaces. Soft lamps, gentle candles, or even natural sunlight through a curtain can shift the energy of a room from chaotic to calming. If you enjoy scent, you might light a stick of sandalwood incense, burn a drop of essential oil like lavender, or keep fresh herbs in a small bowl, scents that ground you in the moment and awaken the senses. This space should invite you to pause, breathe, and simply be. It's a place where time slows down, where expectations fall away, where you're not performing, fixing, or proving anything. Instead, you are simply returning to your center. Use it as a space for your daily rituals, morning silence, meditation, prayer, reflection, journaling, or mindful tea drinking. Let it evolve with you, change the objects with the seasons of your life. What once brought comfort may now be replaced by something that brings clarity or strength. This is a living altar to your growth. And you don't need anyone else to understand it, it is yours alone, a mirror of your journey, a cradle for your awakening. In moments of loneliness or anxiety, your sacred space becomes your companion. In times of gratitude, it becomes your offering. And in your everyday life, it becomes the reminder that peace is not found elsewhere, it is here, always waiting for you. Through the mindful act of creating a sacred space that reflects who you've become, you declare gently but powerfully, I honor where I am. I cherish who I am becoming. And that declaration, repeated silently each day, becomes a path, not just to a peaceful home, but to a peaceful heart. As we arrive at the final reflection in this journey of mindful aging, let us softly open our hearts to the truth behind it all. You are not fading, you are blooming, inwardly. This gentle truth may feel foreign in a world obsessed with youth and outer achievement, where aging is often treated as decline. But the sacred wisdom of Buddhist teaching invites us to look deeper, to see aging not as vanishing, but as unfolding. Like a lotus that rises through the mud to bloom in stillness, our later years are not a dimming of the light, but a turning of the light inward. We are not losing value, we are discovering deeper layers of it. Your silver hair is not a sign of loss but a symbol of wisdom gained. The lines on your face are not failures of beauty, they are the written poems of a life truly lived. This stage is not about doing more or proving more. It is about being more present, more compassionate, more aligned with what truly matters. The flowers of youth may have bright colors, but the flowers of wisdom carry fragrance. And you, in your quiet strength and silent knowing, are blooming in ways that can only be felt by the soul. This inner bloom is unseen by the hurried world, but deeply known in the spaces where silence, presence, and grace reside. You are no longer striving to be everything to everyone. Now, you are becoming deeply yourself. This is not a retreat, it is a sacred return. You are returning to your essence, to the parts of yourself that were buried under roles, noise, and expectations. You are blooming in your ability to forgive, to release, to sit in stillness without fear, to feel joy without needing applause. Inward blooming looks like waking up with gratitude, even on ordinary days. It looks like holding your own hand during hard moments. It looks like speaking with kindness, listening without rushing, and honoring the slowness of life. You begin to understand that peace is not found in youth or speed or noise, but in wisdom, rhythm, and spaciousness. In this stage, what fades is illusion, and what blooms is truth. You let go of chasing and start living. You let go of comparison and embrace your own pace. You let go of outer expectations and listen to your inner knowing. You realize that your worth was never tied to your age, appearance, or productivity, it was always within you, waiting to be seen. You are not a fading photograph, you are a sacred flame. And even if the world cannot see it, your soul knows, you are more alive now in spirit than you've ever been in form. You have nothing to prove, only presence to offer. And that presence, cultivated through years of learning, loving, and letting go, becomes your deepest beauty. So let others chase what fades. You, wise one, are blooming, softly, steadily, inwardly. And in that bloom is a power, a peace, and a purpose that can never be taken away. As we come to the end of this journey together, let us take a quiet, heartfelt pause to acknowledge what has been shared and felt. This final reflection is not just a conclusion, it is a beginning. A beginning of seeing yourself through softer eyes, of embracing this chapter of life not as a slow fade, but as a soulful blooming. This video is an invitation to reflect, to breathe, and to reclaim your worth not in what you do, but in who you are becoming. It's a reminder that your life still holds immense meaning, not because of the roles you've filled or the tasks you've completed, but because you are here, still growing, still becoming, still capable of love, wisdom, and inner peace. Whether you're 60, 70, 80, or beyond, this is your time. Not to disappear, but to rise, with grace, gentleness, and a heart finally at peace. You have earned this peace, not because life was easy, but because you endured, you adapted, you gave love even when your own heart was tired. Now is your moment to turn inward and honor the strength that carried you here. You don't need to keep up with the world's pace. You need only to keep in rhythm with your soul. The rushing can end now. The proving can end now. What remains is a beautiful, unshakable truth, that your life matters deeply, even in stillness. Let your quiet become your sanctuary. Let your home reflect your soul. Let your breath be your prayer. Let each morning greet you like an old friend, whispering, "You're still here. And you are enough." In this calm unfolding, you do not need grand changes. You only need gentle rituals, sacred spaces, and a willingness to believe that blooming is still possible, yes, even now. Especially now. Because the world needs your wisdom, your softness, your presence. Let younger generations see in you not someone who has faded, but someone who has deepened. Show them how to grow old not in fear, but in fullness. Let your example be a light that says, aging is not something to dread, it is something to revere. You are not behind. You are not less. You are a garden in late bloom, and the fragrance of your presence blesses those around you. So, as you close this video, take with you this knowing, your journey is sacred. You are not invisible. You are invaluable. You are not declining. You are refining. May you walk forward with tenderness toward yourself. May your steps be slower but more certain. May your days be quieter but more meaningful. And may your heart, after all it has carried, finally rest in the peace it has long deserved. You are still becoming. And that, dear one, is the most beautiful truth of all. If this video touched something deep within you, if even one word made you pause, reflect, or feel seen, we would love to hear from you. Your story matters. In the comments below, share a moment from your own journey. How has aging transformed you? What rituals, lessons, or quiet joys have helped you bloom inwardly? Let this be a space where we uplift each other, where hearts speak openly, and where wisdom is passed gently from one soul to another. Whether you're just entering this stage of life or have walked it for many years, your insights can inspire someone else who may need exactly what you have to say. And if this message resonated with you, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. When you support this space, you're helping us reach others who are seeking peace, understanding, and a deeper connection to themselves. Share this video with a loved one who may need to hear that they are not fading, but blooming, beautifully. Join our growing community of mindful hearts. Let's walk this path together, with grace and compassion. This is more than a channel, it's a movement of healing, one story, one breath, one heart at a time.